everybody. Today we're going to have the next tasting of my 5-gallon split batch. This was the first split batch I did in 2020. I did do this on the Anvil Foundry. I made a 5-gallon batch, then split it into 5 1-gallon batches. I used different dry hops. I wanted to see what we would get out of those dry hops at fresh and then a little later on. In the case of this is using Enigma hops for the dry hop, and I'll go over the grain bill just in case you didn't see the first one or the first reviews. 9 pounds of pale malt, 1 pound of caramel malt, 1 pound of flaked rye, 1 pound of white wheat malt. For the boil on this, we're going to add just one addition, and that is 1 ounce of Warrior at 60 minutes. After that 60 minutes, you'll cool down to 170. Then you'll Whirlpool 1 ounce of Amarillo Chinook Citra for 20 minutes. And I believe for the dry hop, 3 days into fermentation, I did use 0.25 ounces of Enigma hops. This did use the IPA Omega 052 yeast. Now this was bottled on 6/18. So it was bottled on 6/18. I let them sit for 30 days. So let's say 7/18 is when I did the first review. I believe this is the second. I could be wrong, but I did go over this in the Cashmere one. Usually I do them every month. I had a ton of beers to get through. I didn't want them to go bad, so I put off all my home brews. So this has been in the fridge since 8/15, 8/16. This did turn out to be 6.89% ABV in this, because this is a 22-ounce bottle. 7 small pearls were used for carbonation. Good hiss, good smoke. Go ahead and get it into a glass. See what we think. I will be doing a side-by-side. I always like doing those at the end with all 5 of them, just to see what we're getting. Now, my guess is for this is getting to the end of its life. Taste, smell. I'm sure you could drink it a little older, but on most of these IPAs, we want them fresh. We want to drink them as soon as we can. It's just making all these. I don't get to them all the time, or I put the regular craft beer in front of it, so that way I can get those out and I'm not losing any money with those. Nice white head, small and medium bubbles, finger of head. This one, the bubbles are compact like dish soap, where on the other one, the Cashmere, they were more spread apart. It looks like the carbonation's good. If anything, I would say that's one thing that hasn't been consistent in making these, is the carbonation levels. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low, sometimes they have a head, sometimes they don't. But at least in these first two, after say 6 months of being in the bottle, we are good. I would say this one's a little bit more orange in color, like a yellow orange. A little bit of haze. I'm guessing that's chill haze. I can't see the bell sticker. I've got a bell sticker on the wall over here, and I can't see it. I can see the light box though, but that's a light and you're gonna be able to see it. Middle does have a lot of bubbles, but these glasses are etched in the bottom. Let's go ahead and smell and see what we get. Maybe a little pine citrus mixed together. The hops really come through more than on the first one. I'll try not to refer to other ones that I've had, but yeah, it's that citrus pine is coming through more than the sweetness. I was thinking after 6 months of these being bottled that we would get more of that sweet malt, almost like in a double IPA. Just because they've been sitting, your hops are going to go down, so you would expect that malt. You usually see that malt sweetness come out, and I don't really get that in this one. Yeah, like a low aroma of citrus pine mixed. You could say there's obviously going to be a little bit of grain, toasted bread, something like that coming through in a beer, because that's what it's made out of. But for the most part, I'm not picking that up. Just a nice faint smell of citrus and pine. Let's go ahead and taste. Very, very smooth. Close to medium body. This one's a little thicker than the other one. Man, that threw me off. So smooth. I almost want to say maybe a touch of yeast, citrus, almost like a bubble gum in the front, but then when you get to the middle to the back of the palate is where I kind of get more of that sweet malt, like a low sweet malt, then just a touch of bitterness in back. Perceived bitterness 40, definitely not as high as the first one. I can't, it's very smooth, and I'm not sure why this one would be very smooth and another one wouldn't. Yeah, it goes down easy. Aftertaste, more along the lines of a citrus rind, like generic citrus rind. You could almost say like a grapefruit rind, but it doesn't. I'm thinking about Centennial producing that grapefruit rind in the aftertaste, like I saw in my 20 batches that I did with Centennial and Cascade, something along the lines of that. And it's not to that level. Like, okay, it's grapefruit. It's more of a citrus rind bitterness in the aftertaste. That that's about all I'm getting, and I'm surprised with using that flaked rye and having Chinook in there that I'm not getting a little bit more spice, but that could be because that was in the Whirlpool and not actually in the boil, because I made an all Chinook IPA. I think the first one was from Northern Brewer. Then I just bought the grains and hops to make it, and that really didn't produce a lot of spice. And so I could see that citrus coming from that maybe. Yeah, I think another good one just to drink. I did talk about it in the other one, but I do not watch the other reviews before I do the new one. I usually watch them as I'm editing or doing something like that. So it would be interesting to see what this was like before, because at least in these first two, they're good. Like, I wouldn't mind making it and letting it sit 4 or 5 months. We'll see if the rest continue like that, or when I watch them, what they smelt and tasted like when they were fresh. But for a 6-month-old beer, I think it's good. So let me know down in the comments if you've done something like this. If you enjoyed this video, check some more out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.